My name is the Archivist. The year is 2028. We believe our identity is a fortress, built over a lifetime with the bricks of memory, experience, and connection. It is the story we tell ourselves. But what if that fortress is a fiction? What if the walls are paper and the story within is blank? Today, we open a file that deconstructs the very anatomy of a person, a case that begins not with a crime, but with an impossible question. How can a man be a ghost while he is still alive? Welcome back to the archive. This is file number 000, the blank slate. He walked into the 34th precinct on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. He was of average height, average build, dressed in simple, clean clothes with no labels. He carried no wallet, no keys, no phone. His face was a placid mask of calm confusion. "I'm sorry to bother you," he said to the front desk sergeant, his voice a perfect, unaccented English. "But I don't seem to know who I am, or where I am." A classic amnesia case. John Doe number 117. He was taken to the hospital for evaluation. The doctors found him to be in perfect physical health. No signs of head trauma, no neurological damage that could explain his condition. The police began the standard identification process. They ran his fingerprints through the national and international databases. 0 matches. They ran his DNA. It matched no one in any system on Earth. Dental records, missing persons reports, facial recognition scans of every government database, all came back with the same impossible result: nothing. According to every official record, this man did not exist. Frustrated, the police handed the case over to Dr. Evelyn Reed. Evelyn was a brilliant forensic psychologist, a woman who could map the geography of a person's trauma. Her job was to find the man buried inside the blank slate. Their first sessions were an exercise in futility. She called him John. He was polite, intelligent, and utterly empty. He had full semantic memory. He knew what a mother was, what love felt like in theory, what a home was supposed to be. But he had 0 episodic memory. No first kiss, no childhood scraped knee, no favorite food. His past was a library filled with beautifully bound, completely blank books. Evelyn tried every trick. She showed him photos of world landmarks, the Eiffel Tower, the pyramids, the Great Wall of China. He recognized them as places, but felt no connection, no flicker of memory. She played him music from Bach to the Beatles. He could appreciate the structure, but it evoked no emotion. He was a perfect mirror, reflecting everything without retaining anything. The first crack in his perfect emptiness appeared during a series of physical assessments. While his mind was a blank page, his body remembered. A doctor testing his reflexes dropped a pen, and John caught it with a speed and precision that was startling. When given a length of rope, his hands, moving with a fluid grace independent of his conscious mind, tied a series of incredibly complex nautical knots, knots used by deep-sea salvage crews and naval special forces. When presented with a disassembled, complex mechanical puzzle, he put it back together in under a minute, his fingers moving with an eerie, practiced efficiency. His mind was a ghost, but his hands were a master craftsman's. The visuals could shift to a complex object being deconstructed with precise, skilled movements. This new data only deepened the mystery. Dr. Reed brought in experts. A retired military officer recognized the knots. That's a double figure-8 bend with a sailor's hitch. Only taught in one place, the Navy's experimental deep submergence unit. They were shut down a decade ago. A linguist analyzed his speech. "His accent is a perfect fabrication," she concluded. "It's the standardized mid-Atlantic accent taught to international broadcasters. But when he's tired, there are phantom traces of 3 other languages underneath: German, Russian, and Arabic. A deep-sea sailor, a polyglot, a master mechanic." The profile was a contradiction, a puzzle of skills without a person to connect them. Evelyn realized she was trying to find a memory that might not be there. She decided to bypass his conscious mind entirely. She brought John in for a session of deep hypnotic regression. "I want you to go back," she said in a low, calm voice as he sat in the chair, his eyes closed. "Before the police station. Before you were walking. Just be. Under hypnosis, John's calm demeanor dissolved. His breathing became shallow. When she asked him where he was from, his lips parted and he spoke, but it wasn't with his own voice. It was a flat, monotone, devoid of all emotion. He didn't give a place. He just recited a string of numbers and letters. XJ 7, B4, K 1-9. Evelyn's blood ran cold. "Who are you, John?" she pressed gently. His response was even more chilling. Designation, blank. Purpose, to receive, to integrate, to become. Become what? Whatever is required. One final question. What is your earliest memory? The monotone voice replied without hesitation. The sound of a door opening. The light. Before that, there was only waiting. The number string was the key. It wasn't a serial number or a coordinate. Evelyn sent the string to a contact she had in the Federal Data Archives, a man who owed her a favor. He called her back an hour later, his voice a nervous whisper. "Evelyn, whatever this is, you need to drop it. Forget you ever saw this number." He told her the string was a genetic sequence identifier linked to a defunct Black Ops government program from the early 2000s. The program's name was Project Chimera. Evelyn used her credentials to access the sealed, highest-level archives. The file was thin, most of it redacted, but there was enough. Project Chimera was not a training program for spies. It was an attempt to build them. Using a cocktail of advanced genetics and accelerated learning, they grew human assets in vitro. Blank slates. Beings with no identity, no family, no history. They were living vessels, designed to have mission-specific skills and personalities imprinted onto their consciousness. They were the perfect deep cover agents because they had no original identity to betray. John wasn't a man who had lost his memory. He was a product that had never been given one. The project had been deemed a failure, too dangerous and unpredictable, and was officially shut down 10 years ago. The existing assets were to be placed in permanent cryogenic stasis. But it seemed one of them, John, had been forgotten in a decommissioned facility. And somehow he had just woken up. He had walked out of the only home he had ever known, a laboratory, and into a world he had no context for. Dr. Reed now faced a terrible dilemma. Her patient wasn't a person in any legal sense. He was a piece of classified, living government property. Her duty as a doctor was to help him forge a new identity, to help him become a person. But her duty as a citizen was to report her findings. She chose the former. For weeks, she worked with John, helping him build a life from scratch. They chose a new name for him, Adam. They created a plausible backstory. She was trying to give him a soul. It was during one of their sessions that the men arrived. They didn't knock. Two men in simple, dark suits, their faces impassive. They weren't police. Their authority was colder, more absolute. Dr. Reed, the first one said, his voice polite but empty. "Our property has been recovered. Thank you for your assistance." They weren't there to help Adam. They were there to fix a glitch. They approached him, and for the first time since he had arrived, Adam's face showed an emotion. The same fleeting micro-expression of pure, absolute terror that Dr. Reed had seen in the Impossible Confessions case. A silent scream. He knew, on some deep cellular level, what they were. They were the men who turned the lights off. They took him. Evelyn Reed was forced to sign a series of national security non-disclosure agreements that legally erased the last 2 months of her life. The official file for John Doe number 117 was wiped, its contents replaced with a single sentence: subject identified and released. He vanished back into the same bureaucratic void from which he had emerged. The case of the blank slate is unique in this archive because it is a file about nothing, an anatomy of an absence. It reminds us that our identity, the story we tell ourselves, is a fragile construct, written on paper and stored in databases. But what happens when there are no pages? What is a man without a file? He is a ghost, not in the machine, but of the machine itself. And sometimes, the most terrifying secrets are not the ones that are hidden, but the ones that were never there to begin with. File number 000 is now sealed, its subject officially erased. It leaves us with a haunting question. If you were stripped of every memory, every record, every story ever told about you, what would be left of the person you are? Who would you truly be? We invite you to share your thoughts on this paradox in the comments below. What do you believe is the true core of a person's identity? If this file gave you pause and made you question the nature of things, show your support for our work with a like. It helps us know these forgotten stories have found a new mind to inhabit. And to ensure you have access to the next secret we deconstruct from the archives, be sure to subscribe to the Marrow files and activate the notification bell. Please note, the story, characters, and events you have just heard are entirely a work of fiction. The accompanying visuals are thematically paired to create a unique, immersive experience for your imagination. The archive is now closed.